Stop struggling with how to cook Afang soup Calabar style and let us get that thick, oily and rich vegetable soup consistency. I'm walking you through every step of this authentic Afang soup recipe so you can recreate this bold Afang soup Akwa Igbo style flavor right in your own kitchen. Hi my people, my name is Mo, welcome back. Now for this Afang soup recipe. We are using shelled periwinkle because that is the true tradition for both Calabar and Akwa Ibom style cooking. I personally enjoy the satisfaction of soaking the periwinkle. It is honestly the best part, but to get that reward, we really need to put in the work. If you are looking at the screen, you can see these shells are incredibly dirty. To get them food ready takes a lot of effort. So the first thing I did is to break off both the head and the tail of each periwinkle. This is a double win. Number one, it helps all the trapped dirt to actually come out, and it also creates the airflow you need to suck the meat out easily when you are eating. So once they are trimmed, I pour them into a bowl with plenty of water and use my hands to really scrub them together. Just look at the color of that water. It is murky and dark. I repeat this scrubbing process about 7 times, rinsing and refilling until the water starts to run clear to some extent. But we aren't done yet. For the deep clean, I moved them into a container with a tight lid, add a good amount of salt and fresh water, and then shake it rigorously for about 1 to 2 minutes. This friction knocks off any remaining grit inside, so I pour that out, rinse and repeat the salt and shake method for about 5 more times. My people, please take notes. What you are seeing is the edited version. You actually need to do this about 10 more times, more than what I am showing you here, to make sure your shelled periwinkle is 100% ready to cook. So after the 5th shake, you can finally see the water is crystal clear. Now that they are thoroughly scrubbed, I pour some fresh water into my pot, add the washed periwinkle and set it on medium heat. We aren't just warming them up, we are giving them a proper parboil to make sure they are completely hygienic. You will want to keep an eye on the pot. Then after 15 minutes, you will start to see this white soapy looking foam rising to the top. Once that foam appears, I take it off the heat and pour out all that hot water. But don't stop there. Even after boiling, I rinse the periwinkle about 3 more times with cool water. You can see the difference on the screen, right? Look at how clean, dark and shiny our periwinkle is. There is no more slime and no more dirt. It's a lot of work, but seeing them this clean gives me so much joy. Now, for the protein in this Afang soup recipe, I'm using chicken. I pour my clean chicken pieces into the pot and immediately start layering those flavors. I added seasoning cube, salt, and some blended fresh pepper for that essential heat. To build a really rich stock, I also added my cleaned stockfish and Pomo. I gave everything a good thorough stir to make sure the seasoning touches every piece of the meat. Then I covered the pot and let it cook in its own juice for about 15 minutes. Now let's talk about the art of this dish. The essential vegetables for Afang soup are waterleaf and Afang leaves, which many of us also known as Okazi. I've already picked through the waterleaf and give it a very thorough rinse to get rid of any sand. So after rinsing, I leave it in a sieve for a while so all the excess water can drain out. This is key so that your soup doesn't come out watery. Once it dries, then I move on to my chopping board and chop it into very tiny pieces. My people, if you don't have patience or the time to do the chopping yourself, don't worry. You can always have the vendors at the market to chop it for you to save time. 15 minutes have passed and our chicken is cooking nicely. I added just a little more water to it to ensure it cooks all the way through. But my people, be careful. I only added a little bit because we do not want a watery soup. Remember that the water leaf we chopped earlier is going to release its own liquid, and that is more than enough to cook this afang soup to perfection. Let's prepare our afang leaf, also known as okazi. Since these leaves are quite tough and difficult to cut, my very sweet neighbor actually helps me pick and slice them into these tiny pieces. She is amazing. She even brought this fresh okazi straight from her village and also gave me this fresh water leaf from her farm. Please, my people, say a word of prayer for my neighbor in the comments. So after rinsing the okazi, I pour it into my small mortar. Then I use the traditional pounding method until it is well textured. You can also use a blender for this, but you have to be careful not to add a lot of water while blending. That is exactly why I prefer pounding. It ensures I don't have to add any water at all to the leaves. For the perfect afang soup ratio, remember your water leaf should be more than the afang leaves. So I usually go with 60-40 ratio of water leaf to afang to get that signature consistency. I made sure to blend the crayfish first before blending the peppers. For the pepper mix, I'm using a combination of yellow Scotch bonnet peppers and red ones for it. I poured the peppers into the blender with just a little bit of water and gave it a quick blend. I didn't go for a perfectly smooth texture this time around, but you can definitely blend yours until it is completely smooth if that is how you prefer it. Once that was done, I poured the mix into a bowl and set it aside. It's been like 15 to 20 minutes later, so now let us check on our chicken. As you can see, it is well cooked and the water has dried up completely, leaving us with a very concentrated base. I gave that a quick stir before adding in my cleaned smoked catfish, the pepper mix, and a good amount of crayfish. Then I also added the palm oil and another seasoning cube. I give everything a thorough stir to combine, then cover the pot to let those flavors marry for about 7 minutes. One of the main things that makes the Calabar and Akwa Ibom style Afang soup stand out is the sheer generosity of the ingredients. To get that perfect, authentic, bold flavor, you cannot be stingy. You have to be really generous with your palm oil and your crayfish. By the way, if you're finding these tips helpful, make sure to subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so you never miss a new recipe. Our soup base has cooked down beautifully, and you can see how rich and concentrated that chicken and pepper mixture has become. I'm giving it a good stir before we move on to the vegetables. I added the water leaf first. This is a very important step. You must stir the water leaf gently but very thoroughly into the pepper sauce. Take your time here. You want to be absolutely sure that the pepper has mixed well with every single strand of the water leaf. The reason the water leaf must be the one to go in first is simple. If you look at our chicken base, there is no water left at all. To avoid the soup burning or sticking to the bottom of the pot, we rely on the water leaf. It is naturally succulent, and as it eats the heat, it's going to release its own juice. We are essentially using the water from the water leaf to cook the rest of the soup, so we don't need to add any external water that might make the soup too thin. Once the water leaf has started to wilt and release its liquid, I went in with our cleaned shelled periwinkle. Following that, I added another generous portion of crayfish and more palm oil. In this style of cooking, those two ingredients are what gives the soup its soul. I gave the entire pot another thorough stir to make sure the oil and the crayfish are evenly distributed, creating that beautiful deep color. Then I covered the pot and let everything cook together for just about 2 minutes. 2 minutes later, let's check on our soup. As you can see, the water leaf has released exactly the right amount of liquid needed to cook the entire soup. Just imagine if we had added extra water earlier, by now our soup will have turned into an ocean. This is why we trust the process. I gave the soup a good stir to bring those juices together, and now it is time for the star of the show, the pounded afang leaf. I went in with the Okazi leaf and gave it an extremely thorough stir. Once I was satisfied that everything is well combined and the texture looks consistent, I covered the pot one last time. We are going to let this simmer on medium to low heat for about 5 minutes. 5 minutes later, and our Afang soup is officially ready. Just take a moment to look at that incredible color and that perfect rich thickness. This is exactly what you want to see. I turned off the heat and gave the pot one last stir to bring everything together. The aroma is absolutely amazing. You can enjoy this authentic Afang soup with any swallow of your choice, whether it is fufu, eba, or pounded yam. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. It really helps the channel grow. Thank you so much for watching, my people. I will see you in the next one.